Greetings.
Hello.
Wow, you're excited to see me. I see.
I'm trying to find I'm trying to find my notes.
I was waiting for the day you came over all the way to my house from Burbank and then finally said, I don't like this anymore. And it's finally happened.
You've
lasted a really long time.
It definitely took a lot longer than expected, but I'm just a little sleepy today, that's all.
I know. Em ate a lot of carbs.
I ate a lot of like starchy potato stuff on my way here, but then I also ate a literal half of a watermelon. So I'm feeling very full. My belly feels full, and so I just want to take a little nap.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can do that during my story. You usually do it anyway.
I'll definitely show signs of it, per usual. Oh, there I am. Hello. To the people who are listening, we just flipped the camera around on YouTube, and now I
realized
can see myself.
I'm probably not even on the screen, so I figured I should.
It's probably best that way.
I think so, too.
I've seen the comments. People would prefer if this was just a one-man show. How are you? What are you doing?
I'm great. I did want to tell you, so Blaze recently, this is like a brand new update as of like 30 minutes ago.
Oh, okay. I really don't know about this.
So this woman keeps ringing our doorbell, and I do this thing where I go and I hide.
Right.
And then I turn on the Ring doorbell.
Uh-huh.
And I look at who it is, and it's this older lady.
Every time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a couple days now. And so, of course, I think first, oh, I'm in trouble.
Right.
I've done something wrong.
I would think that.
Right? And so I hide.
Or someone's stealing my shit, or someone's trying to break in.
Or that.
Right.
None are good.
Oh, okay.
So Blaze finally was home during one of these of me hiding under my covers. So he, literally, by the way. So he went down to answer the door, and he was gone for like 5 to 10 minutes.
She killed him.
Is that
the update?
I almost called Blaze is dead.
Where is he?
No. Well, he did go into her home. Okay.
Wait.
Okay. Here's the thing. She wanted to give us a gift. This is
No.
not a joke. The universe has been really wild lately, guys, and you'll see if you go to a live show, you'll see what we mean about like the universe is just. I swear,
we definitely have just thrown a caution to the wind.
we can't we can't make this shit up. So this is what Blaze walked back in the front door with this. I have to grab it. I was hiding it from you.
Oh, thank God, because I would have been like, no. Here I go riffing. Christine is walking away. Stay away. This is my show now. Oh, here she comes. Shit. She's on to us. She's back. It's no longer a one-some. It's been fun, guys. I guess Christine's hosting this again. Now she's got a bag.
Okay.
Okay, she's chill. The suspense is killing me.
He walks in with a bag and he goes, Christine, this woman literally looks at me and goes, I have a lot of lemons.
I'm sorry.
Do you want a bag of lemons? And Blaze was like, I just stared at her for a solid 10 seconds, contemplated saying no.
Is she a fan?
No.
If she's a fan and knows where you live, that's a whole other ball of wax we have to figure out.
No, she has a lemon tree, and she's like, we have like hundreds of them. So she's like, we're just going to deliver you lemons now.
Okay. Okay.
Look at this. He literally,
I'm literally seeing at least 30 lemons.
there's dozens of them. She also gave us oranges, but Blaze was more concerned about the lemons.
Can you imagine, though, like, she has no idea
what
who
she's
she
done.
gave a bag of lemons to. And, like, if she just gave up on trying to, like, pre-warn you and, like, just left a bag of lemons, we would have thought there was some stalker going to kill you.
Yeah.
She has no idea what crisis she almost
Well, this
caused.
poor one is like very elderly. Like, I really didn't think she was going to murder me. Maybe she has an accomplice, but no, yeah, she apparently just she said my fruit trees grew a lot of fruit today or this year, and
her garden is prospering. I mean,
look at this. I mean,
literally, I'm looking at a massive bag of lemons.
He walked in the front door, and I just like, I couldn't believe my. He's like,
is this
I don't
God?
Even,
is this
I
Satan?
don't know. Second one for
must
sure.
Be El Diablo.
No real God would let this happen. Anyway,
certainly not mine.
So that just happened literally probably 10 minutes before you showed up. I'm telling you.
Interesting. I wonder. I think Blaze is still a little shook because I did see him on my way in, and he was very stunned, and I was like, "What's going on?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think he still hadn't
He
processed
thought maybe
this.
I had set this up. I was like, listen, I don't have the energy for that.
I don't have the literal time.
So now we have like 45 lemons.
Congratulations. I don't want
Thank
any
you.
of them. Please don't give them to me.
Okay.
I will say, Christine, one thing we are not talking about.
What?
We just had our first leg of a tour,
Oh, yeah. I got distracted by lemons.
as everyone did. But guys, we just had our first leg, and I will tell you, we were scared. We did not know how it was going to go. It went, dare I say, phenomenal.
It was great.
It was bananas
You
good.
guys were so fucking supportive, and like it was our first 3, so they were a little bumpy, but like everyone was so kind, so supportive, amped. Like the show went really long, like
It went
2
really long.
hours long.
We need to figure out a way to shorten it because we've been told it must be like a 90-minute set, and we keep doing a solid 120.
Yeah, oopsies.
But we can't. There's so much stuff that like we want to talk about, and we just like there's no time to fit it all in. So we're trying to figure out a way to shorten it, but
Guys,
it's very hard. For
Can't even tell you. There's so much, and like we haven't told you a word. So everyone
We
showed
haven't.
up and was like, "What is going on?"
oh yeah, a lot of people I'm sure have like I've seen online people speculating what the new format could be, or even wondering if the format is really all that different. The answer is a fat fucking yes. And
We don't even really know what it is.
to the people who either went to the Phoenix, LA, or San Diego show, they are all like probably giggling in their cars, being like, "I know what they're talking about." But it is truly fucking bananas compared to our last tour.
It really, there's like a little bit of everything.
You're gonna cry. You're
also,
gonna laugh.
look at this.
You're
I'm-
gonna awe.
In honor, I'm wearing our new merch. Look at this.
Yes.
We have new merch. It's so fucking cool.
Fun fact: someone that helped do animation for the Muppets designed it for us. By the way,
That's right.
I
I forgot about that.
We always forget to we bury the lead so quickly with these
do.
things. But Kirk helped us, and Kirk was like, "Oh, I have a friend that used to work for the Jim Henson Company. Is
Seriously.
it okay if they help design?" And I was like, "Oh yeah."
Also, there's a little Easter egg on the back in the tour list, so you got to find out. You got to buy it to find it.
Yep.
Also, you can go to atwwdmerch.com. That's our new merch site, and it's a little sparse right now because we're building it up. But all the tour merch, we're selling it only at shows right now, but then after the tour, whatever's left, we are going to sell online. So it'll be
Yes.
available at some point.
And speaking of things you can find online, we've already mentioned Chris.
Oh my God.
We've already mentioned that I kidnapped a lemon at one point, and I did an escape room. For the people who've gone to the Phoenix, LA, and San Diego shows, you know how I ended up getting Lemon. How Lemon was
How Lemon wound up in M's grasps.
exactly, and then ever since, for like months now, I've had Lemon. I kidnapped him. And then I literally, with my bare hands and a sleep-deprived brain, built an escape room and made Christine complete it to win Lemon back.
And then I made a feature-length film of the experience because M filmed it, and it was the wildest escape room. Like, I mean, people who are watching it are like, "This is the most elaborate, like, well-thought-out escape room."
Thank you, guys. I really
Ever.
tried to make it a professional grade.
Like, multiple people have called you a genius, so you should screenshot that in case you're ever
I
feeling.
have, and I have, and I will again.
Yeah, if you're ever feeling down, because it was amazing, and so just bonkers. And so Eva and I attempted to do the escape room, and M filmed it, and it was like an hour and a half of footage. So it's not that long anymore, but I made like a trailer, and I made it's like 28 minutes total, but it's like a whole episode basically, but it's only on Patreon. So this is our special little, because we feel like we've been kind of slacking on there, so we're making more content, and this is one of
Yes. And for the people who either have gone to a live show or are about to go to a live show, you may or may not know what we're talking about right now. But when you do see the show, there is additional content that we will also be putting on Patreon.
Oh, that's right.
Over time. So if you
stuff that didn't make it into our live show that we didn't have time for is also going to end up on
Right.
Patreon, just because we want to make sure people see it.
which I promise you want to join, you want to see this content. If you've been to one of the 3 shows we've already done, I know you also want to see more of what we showed you.
Oh my
But
God.
it's truly this show, like I've even said, I know we're talking a lot, but it's our fucking podcast.
I know we're talking a lot.
I know
Oh,
we're
God
using our mouths a
forbid.
lot. I'll stop real quick. But our last tour, not that I was ever ashamed of our show, but I'm just such a naturally nervous, anxious person that my own friends, I was like, please don't come to the show. I just don't want you to see me on stage. What if I mess up? And of all people, the closer you are to me, the more I really don't fucking want you at my show because your opinion matters more.
It's true.
So, AKA, I never want my mother at my show ever because I'm so terrified of like, that's going to be the one time that like the place catches on fire because of me. And, but I texted my mom a couple of days ago and I was like, I'm really excited for you to see this show. I've never ever thought those words would come out of my mouth.
I was going to ask you because I was like, I know how much you like hate people coming, but I was going to ask if this changes things.
Yeah, I've never felt not, and again, I don't want to at all like hate on our last tour, but like compared to our last tour where it was basically this format of a live, it was just a live version of our podcast. This one, I'm telling you, like we are so trying to keep our mouths shut, but Christina and I I'm not kidding, hundreds of hours into this, and I think we just put so much work into it that like I am so proud of it because like I've never put this much work into fucking anything by a light year.
Even if it didn't work as a lot, me neither. I've literally never worked on anything.
I've never worked this hard on anything
in such an intense amount of time. And anyway, we're really proud of it, and like we really hope you guys can come see it. We've told audiences not to spoil too much online, so
please be a good person and not do that because we want everyone to be super excited
when
they come.
It's a really fun surprise. Anyway, just come to our show. We really hope you do. We're going to San Antonio this week.
Yes.
And also San Francisco, we're at like the coolest venue ever, and we'd love. It's like Palace of Fine Arts. It's gorgeous.
We don't deserve to be there. We are not good looking enough for that.
No, by far. So if you could maybe buy tickets,
you could hop on over. I'm promising you will not regret this, even if you're like brand new to the show and you're starting from the end, or if you like need to drag someone with you. You are not going, like, I've never been so confident about something I've done. I'm usually very self-deprecating, but Christine and I are so fucking proud of this show. Please go.
And we have so much fun that, like, it's less scary now because when we did the show last year, we loved the shows we did, but it was different every time, so we never knew. We were like, what if this is the one where we mess everything up? And, like, thankfully, you guys were all great, and it never really happened. But there was like an element of the unknown. Now we're like so pumped and confident, and I think it's getting better each time we do it.
Yep.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. Also, this merch is just my favorite.
Yes.
Anyway, now that we're done like bragging about ourselves, I guess.
Look, in 150, 160 episodes, I don't think we've ever bragged about ourselves. This is our moment. 2020.
2020, man. You guys brag about yourselves.
Thank you for getting us where we are, by the way.
Comment below. Tell us about what you're proud of.
Also, as of right now, I know you're going to hear this a week later to all of our listeners, but happy 3-year anniversary to the podcast.
I know. Well, it was just the conception day.
Just the conception day.
Our anniversary is like
February something with a 7.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll figure that out.
It's coming up soon, though.
It's coming up. But 3 years ago today, we had the idea of a podcast.
Can you believe it?
The weekend, because this comes out on the 26th.
Sure. I don't know.
Okay, I think it does. If this comes out on the 26th, that's a full 3 years of the day I Venmo'd you for the microphones.
Oh my God. Seriously, this is wild. 3 years.
3 years, and now we're begging you to come to our shows because we're so proud of them, not because we don't think it's not good.
And yeah, we still think we're too ugly to perform at them. But
1,000%. We'll never not think that.
Just kidding. All right, I'm so sorry. For everyone who's not able to make it to a show, I'm sorry if we're just making you feel like shit. We're not trying to. We are also hoping that this is just how we do shows from now on. So like, even if we're not going to where you are, this is our new thing. So
this is our new thing, and it's not going to. We change a lot of things about ourselves, but this one is not going to change.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think for...
Wait, I have to do a patron of the week.
Okay, while you do that, I'm going to take my sweatshirt off because it's getting a little toasty. No, it's not going to look pretty. I don't know how to do that smoothly.
Literally, my notes are lemon napping on Patreon and Sacramento and San Francisco biotics.
Biotics. Also, real quick, actually, let's just do elevator music because this is going to get loud and obnoxious.
Okay. It's just so
it's called Muzak.
Yeah.
I think that's so fun.
They sell CDs of it.
Do they? Yeah. Oh my God, wait, I would kill for one of those in my car.
My brother and I found laugh track CDs and we were like, should we just play this at our live show? Like, in the background? Okay. Em has taken off all their clothes.
Every single one.
Naked.
Tune into YouTube right now.
I know, right? Just kidding. Also, the patron of the week, I know you're so lucky. Lacey Brewer. Thank you.
Lacey Brewer, good for you.
I know, and what a cool name you have.
What a cool name.
Welcome to, you get like one of the big lemon episodes, so congratulations.
Yeah, well, congratulations if that's something you wanted. If not, I'm sorry.
Oops. Thanks for your support.
Oh, okay. So
All right, that's all I have.
I have a story, as I should, since this is my job.
Is this part 2?
This is part 2.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So for everyone listening to these in a row and who may be listening to them in chunks, this story goes off of the Houdini story from last week. And it may seem more recent to you because we actually recorded that a while ago. So I'm going to have to catch me and Christine up a few times. So
Great.
hope you're okay with us catching you up.
Super.
So the last place that where did we end up? So
Well, we never got a call from Lynn.
no, you guys are really not helping us spread the word
Yeah.
of this Houdini
I'm
Broadway.
going to be honest, a little lackluster out there.
Lin-Manuel Miranda would scream if he thought of this. There's no way that he has heard this idea and there isn't already something in the works. But I haven't heard anything from him. So
Maybe it went to voicemail.
that's exactly it. I thought maybe.
Let me check my spam
We'll
folder.
have to fax him. Well, that'll get him.
I'm
He'll
going to
see that.
page him real quick.
Okay, so the last place that we left off was that Houdini in the 1920s intentionally got out of magic for a while, or maybe even like kind of broke up his magic act so that he could go on the road and expose mediums in the 1920s for being frauds. And then he would even perform on stage some of their tricks and call them out and try to keep mediums at bay from ever tricking anyone again. As the master illusionist, he thought it was fit for him to be able to do that.
Just the best plot for a musical.
Just saying, so many magic tricks.
Come on.
Think of like the faux fireworks and the levitating on the stage.
And the singing while levitating. Okay.
Oh, listen. Okay.
And then M gets dragged across the stage.
Happily. I'm like, drag me, Lynn. Okay, so.
Oh my God.
So another fun thing about, I almost said Lin-Manuel Miranda. Another good thing, the main topic last episode was that Houdini actually had his own little crew of women who would go into these mediums' homes and get personal readings from them so they could then take notes and give them to Houdini later.
Right.
So that was mainly the story of Rose Mackenberg, who was in charge of his whole little army
What were
that
they
would do
called?
that.
Spook
Spies.
Spies. So
Again,
good.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. That could be the leading song title. Okay. So what we're going to talk about this week is we're not talking about the Spook Spies anymore. We're talking about Houdini himself personally having this hell-bent vendetta that he is going to stop one of the most powerful mediums of the time. Excuse me, I just burped. I don't care.
It's still funny to me, like 3 years in. I don't know why.
I don't know why. And also, like, you think by now I know my body and know when it's going to happen.
Prepare for it.
Just like, it's also those gross burps, like when your dog's sitting on the couch and you're just kind of like, you okay?
Oh my God.
Okay. So this is the story of the Witch of Lime Street, and her name was Mina Marjorie Crandon.
What?
And Mina Crandon, who went by Marjorie, was one of the biggest mediums of the time, and Houdini was like, I'm gonna fucking change that. That's not how this is gonna play out. I'm gonna end this, and she's going down.
Wow.
So, let's get into this. And also this, I did warn last time, this is a little longer than the last story, so I apologize.
Oh, right. You're allowed to start your road trip now.
Yes, now start. You can start at the first one.
I'm sorry we delayed it.
It's not you, it's me, it's Houdini. As said in the last episode.
That's a great quote.
Someone put that on a shirt or I'm going to lose my goddamn mind.
Also,
Lynn,
somebody
put that on a shirt.
Yeah, that's your job now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No, somebody also made a design of I can smell a rat before I smell the incense.
I saw that and I love it.
It's so good. I think that was ATWWD memes.
I think that and It's Not You, It's Not Me, It's Houdini should be lyrics in a really impactful song.
TM.
Just saying, Lynn, so many possibilities. Okay. So one of the mediums
He just heard us talk about finding 45 lemons. I think he does not want to be involved anymore.
I think he's like, look,
Wait, he didn't hear it at all, to be clear.
he didn't.
He's never going to hear it. But
If he were to ever reach out to us though and be like, I'm down to do this Houdini thing, I would absolutely fall over and my brain would melt out of my ears.
we need a new vision board, dude.
Okay, my brain melting out of my ears. That's number one.
Let's go to Michael's after this.
Okay, done.
I need new glitter.
So, of the mediums that Houdini debunked, which was many in the 1920s, his worst nemesis, and the medium he is best known for attacking personally, was Mina Crandon. So originally, Mina Stinson grew up in Canada.
Hey.
And had an older brother named Walter who died in a car crash in 1911. And I've lost my place already. Cool. In 1918, Mina married Dr. Crandon, hence Mina Crandon, whose family dates back to the Mayflower, fun fact.
Oh my, that is fun.
And they moved into 10 Lime Street in Boston, aka when you and I do our Boston show, we should pop by.
Hey, do a little photo shoot.
Yes, exactly. Of the medium that Houdini hated the most.
Correct.
In 1923, her husband became interested in spiritualism and he had his friends over to try a seance. And when nothing happened, Mina started nervous laughing, as I know all too well.
Oh, wow.
And they told her, hey, this isn't funny. This is a serious matter. So nobody knows exactly what happened next. It could either be truly magic, or it could be the fact that she wanted to like stick it to her husband for embarrassing her in front of people or whatever. But pretty soon after he kind of scolded her in front of everyone, soon enough the table began to move, tilting upwards and crashing onto the floor, seemingly by itself.
Ha.
And Mina said that she had been overcome by a spirit that made her do it. So her husband was impressed with the new powers that she just learned. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit on Houdini's side right now. But
oh, for sure.
We're committing to hearing this story, so this is how it's going to have to play out. So Mina's husband was impressed with the new power that she had just learned, and they began practicing regularly and found out that, Mina found out that Walter, her brother that had passed on, was her spirit control. So, excuse me. So spirit control is essentially the higher powered spirit during a seance that will speak for the rest of the spirits.
What? Oh, like the mouthpiece. For
yes. So he'll speak through you. So Walter was speaking for the other spirits in the room. I could, if you're a medium and I'm fucking that up, I'm so super sorry.
That's really cool. I've never heard that phrase.
So Walter was apparently her spirit control. I guess she learned this through enough practicing seances. So soon Walter could speak directly through Mina with a deeper, unfriendlier voice that often had her cussing, which apparently she was not known to cuss. Walter became her spirit control, and with enough practice, she could soon levitate tables, do trance writings, and apparitions would appear in the middle of seances.
Oh, God. Okay.
Her first skeptics said that she was, quote, too attractive for her own good.
For God's sake, nobody can win in this world.
No. But their argument was that she was so pretty that she was able to distract people at the seances while she did sleight of hand illusions to cause all of these manifestations.
The sea is its own superpower, I guess.
Look, if your looks are your superpower, fucking own it.
M does it every day.
I tell you what,
It must be tough.
it's the cross-eyed bear. So she argued that it was... a lot of people argue that it was to keep people from seeing the tricks that she was pulling, and a lot of times she was also known to be wearing kind of like a frumpy or loose dress, but people thought that was her kind of implying that, you know, men were assholes at the time. So they thought that since it was loose clothing, she was implying she was a loose person, or her clothes would be easy to take off and all that.
Seriously? So if you wear tight clothing,
Yep.
you're showing too much. If you wear loose clothing, it's because you're
Exactly.
loose.
Exactly.
Okay, super.
And her argument was like, no, I'm wearing loose clothing, so you know that there's literally nothing like strapped to me or like that's gonna like fall out of my pocket. Like, I'm wearing loose clothing, so you know nothing is attached to me that I'm going to use later as a trick, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, maybe I'm not hiding anything
Not
under
like
my
a bunch
clothes.
of layers and...
Right.
Okay, got it.
But others said it was to distract their eyes, of course.
Sure.
So she got very famous very fast. Her name just got spread across like wildfire, probably because of her loose moo-moos. And her seances became invitation only, and she started going by Marjorie as like her stage name.
That's a nice name, though.
But she refused to be paid, so that added to her credibility of like she wasn't doing this for money.
Wow.
But she was already famous for it, so she was at least doing it for her reputation.
Maybe she got like sponsorships from Gatorade or something.
I mean, HelloFresh, obviously.
That's true.
From the other side.
You just like, hello, and then the apparition.
Yes,
This
exactly.
has been a commercial.
Hashtag ad. So one of the people to come to her home seances, and remember these were invitation only, happened to be Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh.
And like I said in the first episode, or the episode last week, he was one of the most famous spiritualists, and he was very close at one point with Houdini. Did I say that last time?
I don't think so.
I'm about to tell you then.
Cool.
So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
I could be forgetting it, so don't trust me, but
I don't know anymore.
But either way, I'm surprised. So
When I did these notes, he was a big name, and then I broke them in half, and I don't know where I placed him. But it looks like I'm about to talk about him now.
he's here now.
Okay, so if we didn't hear about him last time, we're hearing about him now. So Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, he was the creator of Sherlock Holmes and other books such as The Lost World, which was the inspiration for Jurassic Park.
Oh.
So he's a big guy. He was also one of the most famous spiritualists of the time. In the 1890s, he joined the British Society for Psychical Research and London's Ghost Club, which, by the way, is still active.
Wait, really?
Charles Dickens was also in that, fun fact.
Can we do it?
Christine, do you think I have not looked into like applying to every single group? We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
So
Can I come too? I was like, no, you're not invited.
remember the one last week who
Yeah.
has like the committee for haunted houses?
Yes.
Obviously, we're the party planning committee on that.
The party planning committee. It is your birthday.
We're the PPC of the HHC.
It is haunted.
1000%. So Sir Conan Doyle, he and Houdini, I'm sorry. The organizations he was part of, they both aimed to investigate scientifically the claims of spiritualism and other paranormal activities, so it was pretty much like a debunking group. While in these groups, Sir Doyle, I'm just going to call him Doyle from now on.
Sir Doyle.
He started being open-minded to the paranormal and donated lots of money to them, hence why he started becoming really well known as a spiritualist, because he was one of the bigger donors, Patreon donators, I don't know.
Just like you could be.
He also can watch the lemon napping.
Yeah, I'm sure he really wants to.
So after World War I, where Doyle's son Kingsley died, that's when he began holding his own seances with his wife and became a devout believer in the afterlife because he was so desperate to see his son again.
Wow.
After creating Sherlock Holmes, he decided to abandon writing fiction and devoted himself to just studying the paranormal.
I had no idea about this.
Oh, yeah, it's bananas. So some thought that he was losing it, though, because he actually fell for a doctored picture of fairies existing, and he literally started publicly announcing that fairies were real, and so people were like, "Ooh, this guy's kind of losing it."
He like took it too far for
Yeah. Well, because then people said that like the picture was doctored, and then he still swore that it was real, and they're like, "Oh boy,
Oh, yeah.
he's off the deep end." So he later actually, fun fact, hoped and wishes that he will be remembered for his psychic work rather than his novels. And he died in 1930.
Well, sorry, bud.
Oops.
That didn't happen. Hey,
So-
we're doing our part.
We're trying right now. Everyone forget everything you know about Sherlock Holmes and start thinking about the party planning committee for the haunted houses.
First tweet at Lin-Manuel, then
Wait a minute.
Then do something about
Also,
forget about.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, why are you not writing something about Sherlock Holmes turning into like the writer of Sherlock Holmes becoming a ghost, a paranormal expert? That's a whole other thing.
Hold on, that's our second musical.
And he becomes best friends with Houdini, and you could add that into the storyline
That's
of
right.
the Houdini
it's like
Broadway.
a prequel.
Lynn, you are wasting your talent here.
Think of the merchandising opportunities.
Think of the magic tricks you could start selling.
We know a guy at Jim Henson.
We do. I don't know if he knows us anymore. But
Nope.
So Sir Doyle, he even saw Mina, or Marjorie, either. He saw her perform at one of her home seances that he was invited to, and he was convinced at that point that she was the real deal. Even though one was a believer and one was a skeptic, him and Houdini were really, really close friends for a very long time. Both had interest in spiritualism, but just opposite beliefs, where Doyle was all about it and Houdini was very much a skeptic.
Sure.
But Doyle for a long time believed that Houdini was also purely 100% made of magic. He was like, there's no way you're an illusionist. And I can't imagine their dinner conversations
Oh my
where
God.
Houdini was like, no, dude, this is a fucking joke.
Like I'm telling you how I'm doing
I'm
it.
literally showing you the magic trick. And Doyle's like, amazing, genius, great, brilliant. I can't imagine how you're magic.
So he's literally the most gullible person, even
he's really desperate for magic to be real, or for spiritualism to be true.
First the fairies, now this.
He's just really excited about it, and I can't blame him.
No, me neither.
So their friendship actually ended in 1922 when Doyle's wife offered, because Doyle's wife was also sensitive, and suggested that she could try to make contact with Houdini's mom, because remember, that's why he got
Yes.
into spiritualism. So he was trying to
Yes.
contact his mom. Turns out that Doyle's wife had actually just recently talked to Houdini's wife in a lot of detail about his mom.
Oh, come on.
And so she ended up kind of tricking him into talking and saying a lot of things that only his mom would have said, because Bess, his wife had just told her.
That's extremely
Especially your friend's work,
hurtful.
like your
Yeah.
friends or your husband's friend. It's
that really.
plus a lot of things during the seance didn't add up. So like Houdini's mom was Jewish, but Doyle's wife was drawing crosses during automatic writing.
Yeah, it's just so disrespectful.
Yeah, it was like a lot of things just didn't add up. Also, I think the mom didn't speak any English or couldn't write English, and also didn't speak perfect English, but everything that was coming through during the seance, it was just adding up to someone who like fluently understood English. Also, the seance happened on his mom's birthday, and that never got brought up. And Houdini's like, my mom would absolutely mention that.
She loves her birthday.
She fucking loves it's
Just
her
like-
day.
Just like Em and Christine. So excited.
Exactly. If you ever do a seance for me on my birthday and I don't say something, it's not me.
Then the universe is that there's no afterlife. Because
Exactly.
you would come through.
Oh, I'm making it clear now. Every single person who's listening, try to make contact with me. I will find a way
Em will
to someone.
show the fuck up.
I will be there.
If you didn't get a meet and greet ticket for this year's show,
Please don't kill me to have
No,
a meet
God,
and greet.
you're right,
Well,
you're right.
Wait on that one. So otherwise I'm going to meet and greet and I'm not going to be in a good mood. So ultimately Houdini felt played, obviously, and the friendship ended. But I wanted to add that in before I got back to Mina. So Mina is making it big, famous medium in Boston. And in 1922, right when when Houdini and Doyle's relationship had ended, spiritualism was having a rebirth at this exact same time, and the Scientific American magazine launched an investigation. And they had two different rewards that they were willing to pay. They were going to pay $2,500 for a spirit photograph or physical phenomenon under test conditions.
Oh.
Or, and during that one, Dr. Crandon actually wrote in suggesting his wife because he was so convinced that his wife had magical powers.
Right.
And Sir Arthur Doyle also vouched that they should consider her because he had seen her in real time and been like, this person's the real deal.
But he'd also seen a lot of things and said
He'd also seen a
this
lot of things.
person's the real deal.
But he was also like a well enough known person at the time where his opinion still mattered.
For sure.
So two people were vouching for Mina, and so when Scientific American magazine put out this request, two really powerful people were vouching for this person. So she came in first.
Got it.
To be looked at. And the investigating panel was a Harvard psychology professor, an MIT physicist, the head of the American Society for Psychical Research, and a psychic investigator, and one of the assistant editors on the Scientific American magazine named Malcolm Bird. So all pretty like high up people who aren't fucking around. Like when it comes to test conditions, they're not going to mess around with this. So at one point, apparently Houdini had actually suggested that Scientific American magazine do an investigation like this. Like forever ago, he suggested this panel.
Oh.
And they never got his approval for it. They just did it without telling him.
Rude.
Like they took his idea and ran with it.
Lynn, do not follow their lead. You need our permission first.
So Houdini ended up finding out like through the like these classified literally through the classifieds, I think, of like all these requests for people that were sensitive or mediums to be investigated. He found out at the same time as everyone else, and he was like, what the fuck? Like, they're literally doing this panel that I suggested and didn't add me to ask me to be on it, didn't get my approval. So he found out while he was on tour for his own magic act, and he was pissed off. So he found out where they were going to go meet up with Mina, and he canceled his next shows to go infiltrate the panel and be on it himself.
I love this guy.
He is literally just not fucking around.
He really isn't.
So before their first seance, so Houdini, but at this point, like fast forwarding, Houdini is on the panel because he's decided he's on the panel.
Because he is on the fucking panel.
He literally was like, there's nothing you can say about this, so I'm here. And I'm not leaving. And I've canceled my tour, so I'm here now. Can you imagine if I texted you and I was like, by the way, our show is over. I need to go find out about this medium.
Yeah, the Haunted House Committee had a meeting, and I just decided I'm a chairman on the board now.
So before the very first seance that Houdini was now part of, and they were going to be testing Mina, Houdini wrapped his own legs for hours to make them super, super sensitive. That way, apparently Walter, the spirit control that Mina uses, or her brother that passed on, one of the ways that the spirit would present himself or show that he was there is he would ring bells during the seance that like they were these phantom bells or bells that were misplaced in different areas of the room and nobody knew where the bells were or who was controlling them. So Houdini wrapped up his legs so they'd be super sensitive, and he asked to sit next to Marjorie. And he asked that the bell be placed between his feet. So that way, wherever the bell usually is, where it's ringing by itself, he was like, I want the bell next to me, next to my super sensitive leg. And sure enough, he felt Mina's leg brush up against him and try to ring the bell from under the table.
Okay.
So he's trying to do it to like debunk her
Sure.
and wanted to make sure his leg was as sensitive as possible to feel anything that was coming near him.
She must have been so nervous. Like, sure, we could put can we just a couple inches forward?
Right. Also, like, no big deal, but the master of illusions is coming to see what illusions you fucking come up
Your
with.
stupid illusions.
And at this point, like, he's created this panel because if you have listened to the previous episode first, then you know that he has been hell-bent. I keep saying that word, but he really is obsessed with, like, getting these mediums out and, like, exposing them. And and so at this point, for him to be, he already suggested a panel. He's already been on this. This is not his first debunking. He is known in the medium community as he is going to ruin you if he can. So imagine he just shows up.
Hey, as he walks through the door like, oh, you know your career is over at that point.
So he catches Marjorie in several other tricks too, including throwing items that looked like they had thrown themselves, because she had literally asked people to close their eyes.
That's what I was about to say. Like, is she just saying, oh, everyone, it works better if you close your eyes?
And people are listening, like Sir Arthur Doyle. He's like, this woman's a goddamn genius.
In all her loose clothing, she just has like shoes in there. She's throwing them.
Well, apparently when she, at some point, I'm imagining she had everyone close their eyes, but he like must have peeked at some point or something, but he noticed that she was literally, like, while she was having her hands held, like she was using her head to move the table, like just like digging at it like a dog trying to get to food.
You are kidding with me.
So he waited to expose her until a few more tests could be conducted, but he was like, she is absolutely a big old phony.
I wonder if the whole time she's like, I don't think
he's not that slick.
Maybe I got him.
So literally open your eyes, Houdini. Aww. Okay, so he was like, I know she's guilty. I know she's not, like, this is not a spirit, but I'm going to wait until more tests are conducted. But the press kept claiming that she was stumping them, that there was the panel could not figure out how she was doing this stuff. So Houdini, at this point, pissed already with the other mediums he's trying to expose, he vowed to outwit her. He was like, okay, fine, let's have the press think that you're fooling me, but like, I'm going to fucking get you.
I love this.
So, but desperate to make her out to be a fraud, he ended up contaminating the investigation by planting his own traps to catch her. And she knew about that. Like, he wasn't slick on his own.
Houdini.
So she had her own trap set to trick them, but then he had his own traps to trick her, to trick them. And it was a mess. So he was so desperate that he ended up fucking up the investigation.
Wow.
And, like, there was no way of seeing, like, which traps she had set.
Sure.
So, like, nobody knew who was right or wrong. And the panel was already pissed at Houdini for just, like, fucking waltzing in and deciding he's on the panel. And now he's, like, contaminating the investigation.
Right.
So they're more likely to side with Mina at this point and be like, you're the one doing all this stuff, saying that she's not doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
One time even Houdini brought his own bell to the seance room and told the spirit to ring it for the circle. And he thought he was like being real fucking slick. But the panel at this point pissed at Houdini. They were like, we have to check everything he brings in now because he's a master illusionist. So they grabbed the bell from him before they even tried to like use it in the seance.
Yeah.
And he had like literally rubber banded all the contact points so that it would be silent.
Oh.
So that way.
So that's cheating. Yeah.
So there was no way the spirit was going to be able to do it.
So even if there was a spirit.
Even if there was a spirit, it wouldn't have worked. But then he could say, Mina, if you can't get the spirit to ring the bell, then you're clearly not a medium.
Sure.
But he was preventing that from happening
he, like, set
anyway.
her up to fail no matter what.
Exactly.
But my biggest question out of all of this, is where are they getting all these bells?
Truly, I don't know.
Where's the bell store? Like, where's this?
There must be a bell store.
Right?
Also, it reminds me, speaking of this, the lemon napping, there's one clip in there where you're like, what are you going to do with all these locks? Like,
there's a lot of locks, guys.
I locked like 15 boxes for this goddamn thing. And you kept going, where are all these locks going to go?
Honestly, it struck me all of a sudden, like, you have 45 padlocks now. You're going to
Listen, next time you need a padlock, I fucking got one of every size, shape, and color.
That's true.
So, weirdly enough, though, when they did take the pieces of rubber band off of the bell, it did start ringing by itself.
He must have been so pissed.
Walter was like, I'm going to fucking ring this.
He finally came through.
So one day, also, Houdini came to Mina's house with a special human-sized box for Marjorie to sit in during the seance. The box would only allow her head, neck, and arms to move, but not her legs and feet, so she couldn't move them under any tables or anything. And Marjorie said that it would stifle the psychic process. And Houdini was like, I fucking bet.
Yeah, they can't go through wood.
So, but she tried it anyway, and during one of the seances, and the lid of the box did rip itself off, allegedly by Walter, her spirit assistant. But the next night, Houdini added locks to the lid to make sure that the members of the commit. He added locks to the lid, and he made sure that the members of the panel were holding her down to make sure her hands were not moving anything.
If only they just had like a Ring doorbell, like a video camera, like a Nest in the corner.
Inside the box, yeah. Because, they wanted to make sure that she wasn't doing something that manipulated the lid to fly off by itself.
Sure.
So during that seance, apparently Walter, the spirit control that Mina's speaking through Mina, accused Houdini of leaving some articles in the box.
Oh.
And Walter claimed that Houdini had left a folding ruler, like a ruler that literally is like a switchblade kind of, like it folds out to be a full-blown ruler.
Sure.
Placed a folding ruler in the box, which if unfolded could have helped to like pry the box without really moving her hands.
Oh.
Like she could have grabbed it and then it was so tall it could have moved the lid for her.
Sure.
So Houdini denied any part in leaving anything in the box, but years later, even Houdini's assistant admitted to planting the device there.
Oh, so wait, so he did it on purpose?
Houdini was hoping that the panel would find out that Mina was using a ruler to move the lid. He was like planting things, hoping she would use them so he could call her out and say, you put the ruler there.
Holy shit.
He was like trying to help her fail so that way he could say you failed.
Yeah.
He was too desperate.
I was going to say, he's hell-bent.
Hell-bent. Yeah. I don't know what else. Hell-bent Houdini. Lynn?
That's what I said last time. And then you changed it to Spook Spies.
I like yours. Oh, hang on.
I like both. I don't know. I haven't decided. We could do one for the prequel and one for the...
Listen, I think you're right. I think you're on something.
Obviously, we're in both of them. That's the only confirmed detail.
Obviously, we're the only two people singing on stage, and everyone else just looks at us with just enamored. God. Okay.
Enamored, yes, I'm sure.
So, again, this could have been, in a world where Walter is not an actual spirit that is speaking through Mina, she could have gotten in the box, seen that something was there that she did not put there, and then, pretending she was Walter, accused Houdini in front of everyone. So it looked like even Mina didn't know.
Sure.
So it looks like the spirit found something that Houdini planted.
How did it say it? Did it speak?
Apparently, yeah. So Walter speaks through Mina, but apparently in a deeper voice that cusses. Which apparently is not her style, so it would be a different...
She's like, there's a fucking ruler in here. And he's like, that's not her, man. That's Walter.
That's for sure Walter. Also, why are there so many spirits named fucking Walter? I cannot get my head around
I wasn't
it.
going to say anything, but like every spirit we've met recently has been somehow named Walter.
It's the truth.
It's the truth, and there's one here somewhere in here, I think.
Somewhere. I haven't felt him in a while, but
Me neither.
Anyway. So this could have been Mina calling out as if Walter, but excuse me, I burped again. Jesus. Anyway, despite everything, some of the committee members were still reporting that Mina was passing her tests because they couldn't tell at this point if Houdini had planted all of the things that made her look like she wasn't credible.
Right.
And to investigate the spirit voices, though, this is pretty interesting. The committee carefully measured an amount of colored water in her mouth, like they put it in her mouth. Then they had a seance, and with her mouth full of water, Walter was able to speak freely. Oh. And afterwards, the water in her mouth was the same amount when they measured it again.
So gross, she just spit it back out.
Yeah, but apparently, like, she should have swallowed a little bit of it to be able to speak or something, or maybe moved it to the side. I don't know, but they did everything they could. They even had her at one point, like, blowing a balloon in the middle of a seance, and while she was blowing into a balloon where she should not be able to speak at all, you could still hear Walter's voice.
But like, can't you just watch her?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really understand the whole, there's like so...
Maybe her husband was like a ventriloquist and like was speaking for her. That's true. You know?
But also, like, how do you know she's blowing the balloon?
Yeah.
If you're closing your She could just be like, yep, I'm blowing it.
Here I go. So one time she was encased in a different lockbox, which would only permit her arms and legs to move, but she could still ring bells, snuff out candles, and actually made a rocking chair across the room move.
That's pretty good.
So there is some stuff that like doesn't get explained, but Houdini felt like it was he needed to prove the truth.
Right.
And he started feeling like obviously personally challenged as an illusionist if he couldn't figure something out, like what was going on with him.
Right.
So his hatred for spiritualists and mediums were also highly publicized at this point, which I've mentioned. And so his reputation felt threatened that if he could not get Mina Crandon to confess, then he was not a good enough illusionist, and his own reputation and show would be damaged.
That's wild.
So since the committee refused to report that Mina was suspicious or fraudulent, Houdini began publishing his own report, which is what I talked about in the last show. So I remember in the last episode, I said there was going to be a lot of time traveling here.
Yeah.
In the early part of the last episode, I brought up that he started creating his own report called Houdini Exposes the Tricks Used by the Boston Medium Marjorie. So like he literally made like a DIY book of the Marjorie was just one of them, but a lot of the mediums that he had been exposing with his little group of spook spies, he had been taking all of their tricks and literally making a booklet and selling it essentially as a DIY, like be your own medium. Yeah. So Mina got her own chunk in there.
Be your own medium.
Be your own medium.
101.
And so one of them, it was titled, this was actually a newspaper article when her part came out, Houdini Exposes the Tricks Used by the Boston Medium Marjorie. And it literally had DIY drawings in it, so you could also manifest your own spirits.
Mediumship for dummies. I'm trying to like market this too for our show.
I mean, if
Zach,
absolutely. I mean, if Zach can do the ghost hunting, we can.
Hunting for dummies.
But imagine a picture of Houdini on the.
So cool.
So he also began incorporating and performing her miracles in his acts, just like he was doing while exposing other mediums. And then I said this in the last one too, but he did this specifically for Mina at one point. He also did this for other mediums when he was in their town. He challenged that if they wanted him to stop, then he would literally pay them, sometimes $5, sometimes $10,000 to do something that he couldn't recreate, and he would leave their town and stop exposing mediums.
Let me guess, it never happened.
Never happened. So Houdini is quoted saying, "I am willing to be convinced, my mind is open, but the proof must be such as to leave no vestige of doubt that what is claimed to be done is accomplished only through or by supernatural power." So he's like, I will stop, but you have to prove to me first that like this is supernatural, like it is not something I can recreate.
Right.
So his hatred for mediums was also at the height of his stardom, and he started arguably assisting in the decline of spiritualism. So because he was so big and was so against spiritualism, there's theories that he helped actually make spiritualism decline after the 1920s.
That makes sense. People are like, oh yeah, you know what? I've been skeptical and now he's saying it, so
Yeah.
I'm on board.
So despite being roasted, as I wrote in my notes, Mina retained her good reputation as a medium and grew in her, quote, abilities, but some would argue that this was just to stay relevant as an A-list celebrity is telling everyone to stop believing in you.
Right.
She had to like up her ante.
Sure.
So she ended up having more of a showmanship-based set of illusions during her seances, and so she was saying that her powers were growing, but maybe it was just because she was desperate to keep her fame.
Maybe.
So they said that she was able to manifest ectoplasm at this point.
Oh, for God's sake.
Which looked uncommonly like lung tissue and awful, which it sounds awful. It's animal entrails.
Super.
And apparently, so it looks
gross.
It looked like organs from an animal.
Sure.
And apparently this ectoplasm would also produce a hand at some point.
Huh?
Like a hand would just show up out of the ectoplasm.
Can you imagine being that assistant? Like, really? You had to pick pig guts for this?
So Mina claimed that the ectoplasmic hands were the ones ringing the bell box. And now as her powers were growing, you can now see the physical manifestation of her spirit controls ringing the bells instead of just hearing it. You can now see it with your own eyes.
That's just beyond me.
Here's the grossest part.
Uh-oh.
The ectoplasm, and this is alleged, but it's also the only sources I found.
Uh-oh.
The ectoplasm would come from her orifices.
Huh?
Apparently, there was in 1925 one investigator who looked under the table when she thought everyone's eyes were closed. He looked under the table and manifesting this ectoplasm, he saw her go under her dress and pull out strands of animal tissue and then kind of splatter them across the room. So it was coming from her kuka. So to speak, or at least around it. I don't know if it's coming from her literal body or if she like had it like in her underwear, but it was under her dress.
My first thought was, I thought you meant at first like it was coming out of her orifices, like they were her internal organs like leaving her body. Which
actually, yeah, her spleen came out of her ear. It's pretty weird.
Like, how many did she have that she could just like give them up? Her spleen came out of her ear.
An investigator in 1925 saw her reach up her dress and pull out some animal tissue and call it ectoplasm.
She must have just gone to the butcher and been like, no, I need those, and then stuffed them up her dress.
She was friends with the butcher.
There we go.
So, meanwhile, Marjorie's supporters went on the offensive, threatening to like literally kill Houdini because this is why he wanted his spook spies to carry a gun, because so many people were threatening their work and exposing mediums that the people who were active, staunch spiritualists were like, you are ruining our good name.
So we will murder you.
We will hurt you. We will, at the very least, beat the shit out of you
spiritual.
If you ever come to our town.
Yeah, and then we'll go back to our crystals.
Exactly. And then we'll all hold hands and believe in peace. So, let me see. Sorry. Okay, so here are some of the other things that actually happened. Sorry, I lost my brain apparently. So
it came out of your ear. It's everywhere.
So
sign up on YouTube. I'm just kidding.
So Houdini or Mina, these are some of the other things that actually happened during some of her seances. So once there was a live pigeon that just appeared as if conjured out of thin air. Like it didn't fly in. It just
I hope that didn't come out of her hoo-ha.
I fucking hope so too. Now I'm curious about what else is up there? Yeah, where is she hiding it? How's she getting it out?
Yikes.
So there's also been like at this point now large flashes of light. Sometimes there was a their version of a record player, like a phonograph or whatever. It would start by itself and then stop on its own. Even the table apparently at one point had rose up so high to the ceiling that it started pushing the guests to the ground.
Oh.
And what's interesting, so those were some of the things of her powers growing. And as that's happening and people are still becoming more and more believers in her, they're becoming more and more haters of Houdini.
Right.
And so now he's being threatened more often. And in 1926, Walter, in a seance, spoke through Mina and said Houdini will be gone by November.
Oh.
So people were like, okay, well, if it's not real, then is it a threat?
Yeah, is she like
she plotting something? So Houdini was, one of Houdini's big acts was that he apparently had very, very, very firm muscles where he would challenge people to like literally gut punch him.
Oh.
And he would be totally fine because he'd firm up and tense the right way.
Damn.
So in 1926, the same year that Walter said this, a fan went backstage to one of his shows and without warning him, gut punched him. And I guess to like catch him off guard to see how powerful he really was.
What the fuck?
And because he didn't properly prepare to get punched, Houdini ended up dying.
Oh my
from
God.
peritonitis, which basically a ruptured appendix caused it. So he literally just died from getting punched in the stomach too hard.
A fan murdered him by accident.
Mm-hmm. Please don't punch me in the gut, by the way, if you ever meet us.
We don't have a plan or prepared for that.
No.
That's not a trick that we do, unfortunately.
That's literally not a trick we do. So some people think that this death was actually a planned murder by spiritualists who didn't like Houdini's opposite beliefs.
They're like, I can sense that his appendix is weak. Punch him in the stomach.
Punch him when he's not looking. That'll get him.
Wow.
And in 2007, even his great nephew tried getting his body exhumed for signs of poisoning because they think they might have done that as like a like to make it look like that was how he died.
Oh, interesting.
But they think that spiritualists were onto him for a while and all planned that by November, because
Sure.
Mina said so.
So they like poisoned him, and then they were like, to cover it up, like, oh, a fan's gonna punch him and it's gonna look like an accident.
Yes, exactly.
Wowza.
So after his death, Mina has praised his determination in trying to stump her.
What a dick.
But by this time, she was gaining more skeptics each day because she was getting more powerful, and Houdini was no longer there to say this isn't right.
Right.
So there's actually one investigator that apparently was known to be kind of a sleazeball. His name was Eric Dingwall. He was literally known apparently as like Dirty Ding or something awful.
Wow.
He was the one that ended up looking closer at the ectoplasm that was now like showing up on the ceiling and stuff. And he said that it looked like it was hanging from wires. He also said that the hands that were coming out of this ectoplasm looked like they were connected to an umbilical cord to the medium. So it was like almost attached to her. So when she moved, these hands on the ceiling would move.
Ew.
So everything was like wires, it seems. And this guy also wanted to test that nothing was under her clothes. So he told her to perform naked. So that's
They're
where
always doing this, man.
they're always doing it. And so obviously that didn't fly.
Okay, good.
So J.B. Rhine, I think I've mentioned him before, but he's considered the father of parapsychology. So big name. He actually saw her and wrote a report that he was not impressed with her.
Oh.
But Sir Doyle, who's still ever in love with Mina and her powers, he ended up actually buying spots in local newspapers just saying J.B. Rhine is an ass.
Oh,
Just to like defend Mina's credibility.
you can do that?
This was actually the first event that caused a rift in spiritualism, by the way. This was the first one where like
For real?
J.B. Rhine, who was super well known at the time, and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle
Yeah.
are now like literally just dragging each other in newspapers, being like, he's an
What?
asshole.
It's like Twitter, but olden times.
Exactly. So this
Wow.
actually, at this point, it became spiritualists versus parapsychologists, which the difference is spiritualists believe in their power comes from spirits, like they're almost a channel or a vessel for spirits. Parapsychologists believe that the power is your own energy. You have your own powers.
Oh.
So this was the first time that there became a difference in opinion, and spiritualists started having one of two different opinions. Oh. So it was the first real rift. After this, spiritualists ended up getting control of the American Society for Psychical Research and wrote articles siding with Mina. And this caused one of the members of the investigating committee from way back when, Houdini's panel, one of them actually was so grossed out by that he resigned from the American Society of Psychical Research, and he founded the Boston Society of Psychical Research, which is now was saying that Mina was a fraud and only writing articles about that.
Wow.
So people are losing their minds over
Seriously?
is she real or not?
She's probably just fucking living it up.
Yeah. Well, up until Mina was soon losing her touch, more and more investigators were finding like holes in her performance.
Uh-oh.
And one investigator saw her producing the ectoplasmic hand from her lap, like people had said they had seen before. And it looked like it was made from stitched up animal parts, which means that was hidden under her dress, and she was pulling it out and making it move with
And
wires.
she probably didn't make a new one each time. It was probably the same one, which is just rancid. Oh.
Another investigator that went to one of her seances, because now it's like this huge thing. People are trying to go to her shows. So she's gaining fame, but
Sure.
people are there with only one intention, not even to be amazed anymore, but to see if it's real or not. Wow. So now all these investigators are coming. And one of them traced back the ectoplasm on the walls to having like fishing line, like super thin, clear line. And it was tied to a knitting needle that was in her teeth. So when she would move her jaw,
Oh my God.
they would move.
That's kind of brilliant, though.
Later, the assistant editor for the American magazine, who was also on the panel, he ended up admitting that he helped fake her effects in the seances because he was having an affair with her.
No.
He was having an affair with her.
After all the guts in her dress, he was still like,
He was like, you're the one for me.
that's what I like.
But so apparently, while he was on the panel, ways that people were still siding with her and not agreeing with Houdini, and in ways that even Houdini was being stumped, apparently the assistant editor on the panel
I see.
was helping.
What a jerk.
Which Mina denies, but he said, she said. So in 1928, the final nail in the coffin for Mina was that Walter began leaving ectoplasmic fingerprints during seances, and the fingerprints did not match Mina or her husband's, and their dentist eventually came forward.
Wait, what?
Their dentist said that he had taught them a long time ago how to make fingerprints out of through soft wax.
No.
And just leaving your finger there and then like peeling it off. And so he had given one of his own samples to be like, look, like this is what that looks like. And apparently they kept it. And investigators checked to see if it was like maybe a perfect match for Walter or if it really was Mina, but how somehow she had like changed her fingerprints. But eventually they did find out that it was their dentist's sample that they had been using as a mold and creating new fingerprints everywhere.
What a strange turn of events. Like the dentist is like, here's my fingerprint.
Yeah. It's like, sorry.
Baffling.
Like,
baffling.
Mind-boggling, as Christine says.
Mind-boggling.
So the Boston Society, the ones who were against Mina, this was like their opportunity to publish the expose of a lifetime. And after that, Mina was officially no longer a legitimate medium. And she was, to this day, she's known as one of the most investigated and controversial mediums of the 20th century, which was all sparked by Houdini hating her so fucking much.
Wow.
And she has been described as, quote, the most ingenious, persistent, and fantastic complex of fraud in the history of psychic research.
I mean, fraud for sure.
Yeah.
And persistent for sure.
And fantastic.
Wow. All of the above.
So one quick fun fact. Someone actually mentioned this on Twitter, not knowing I had it in my notes. But Houdini and Doyle is actually a show on Fox.
Oh, yeah.
That got, I think, canceled. But it is a turn of the 20th century series, which follows Harry and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle as they join forces with Scotland Yard to investigate unsolved and inexplicable crimes.
That's pretty fucking cool, though.
I mean, as soon as I found that out, I was like, well, now I got to watch it after hearing all this.
It's canceled, you said?
I think it's canceled. There's only like one season or two seasons.
This is our shot.
Lynn, if that didn't spark interest in you, I don't know what will. But anyway, that is the story of Mina Marjorie Cranon, the Witch of Lime Street.
Oh, the witch, right.
Yes.
Is that just her nickname, I guess?
She's just known as the Witch.
Wow. Wow,
Anyway,
wow.
the end.
That was crazy.
A lot of info, but it was very juicy.
It was juicy. I was in for the ride. I mean, that was like...
I was too.
That's a reality show.
It was one of those... It was like a whodunit. And also,
Yeah.
like, I used... Not that my notes are ever boring to me, but these were notes where I specifically, like, was excited to do my research. I was like, ooh, fuck, like, this is getting juicy.
Where you're, like, intrigued by your own story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta know what happens.
Oh, my gosh.
So anyway, there you go. I hope everyone enjoyed their little journey through Houdini's life.
I'm, like, sad it's over.
I wish... It just ended so abruptly of like, oh, nope, she's not a medium. We've officially figured it out.
I'm also sad he died.
I mean, yes.
Well.
I wish Houdini got to see what happened.
Agree. That's what that's a little bit sad.
Like the day that she was found out officially, he must have been chuckling in the afterlife, except he doesn't believe in the afterlife. So
Well, yeah, that's right. And apparently he never came back, so...
never, ever. And neither did his wife.
Oh.
So.
Okay, here we go. Let me find... Apparently I still had the wrong notes open.
No.
Cool. Fun. Okay, apparently my notes were exactly the same, except the patron of the week. I'll switch those out. Oopsie daisies. This is what happens when we actually prepare in advance.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that.
Things go awry very quickly.
When you have too much time and you double check, you end up messing up more often. I've noticed.
A lot of things.
Me too.
Because we're overconfident. We suddenly get cocky with our own abilities.
We're used to making like quick decisions, and then when we have time to think about it, all of a sudden our opinions
We're like,
change.
let's get creative.
Right.
No. Okay, so the day this comes out is our Patreon live stream was my only relevant note. So,
oh, yay!
Speaking of Patreon, if you want to watch Lemon napping and see if Lemon survived, and also if you want to join our live stream Q&A where we answer your questions, then sign up at patreon.com/ATWWD podcast.
Yes, please.
So this is the story of Sharon Kinney.
I don't know who that is, but I'm excited.
Super. We were on the train from San Diego, and Em had to listen to me as I subscribed to Sling.
Oh, is this from Sling?
Yes.
Wow, Christine.
I know.
I had to listen to Christine talk about Sling for a long time, and I knew 1 minute in that she was hustling and bustling and ready to watch everything on there, but I still had to hear about it for 30 minutes.
I literally watched it on the train with you, the episode that I ended up covering. So you were
Wow.
there for my research and you didn't even know it.
I don't even have Sling, but the way that you were hyping it up to me on that train was like you found gold.
It was so exciting because we had a trial back in the day and then we kind of canceled the free trial. And I never really thought about it again. But lately, all the stories I've been covering, I've wanted to watch, like the Investigation Discovery or like Travel Channel or whatever, channels have episodes and like I can never watch them, or like 60 Minutes, 2020. And so Sling is basically, this is not an ad. I mean,
Sling, if you'd
hello?
like us to do an ad for you,
Please?
let us know.
I would love to just not pay for it, but but here I am. No, so Sling is great, and it's basically like cable without having to pay for cable.
Yes,
and
got
you can,
it.
like you have your regular cable channels, but it's all through, the internets, and it's live TV. But also, I watched this episode on Investigation Discovery. I've watched so many now, so I think I've already made it worth my while.
Oh, I'm very proud of you. I'm very excited for you.
Thank you. I also so the two episodes I did watch are A Crime to Remember,
Okay.
which I was watching and I was like doing notes, and then I heard a voice and I was like, she sounds familiar, and I look over and it's Karen Kilgariff on the episode.
Shut up.
And the host of Generation Y was on there. I was like, how do we do this? Can I do this?
Someone tell us how. I want that.
Me too. It was so cool. So she was telling the story of this murder. It was really cool. Anyway, and then the other one I watched was Killer Women.
Okay.
So let's go. Oh, and I used the lineup Wikipedia and Murderpedia. Yay.
Got it.
So this takes place in Independence, Missouri in 1960. It's May 28th, middle of the night. Detective James Browning receives a call about a body found off the side of the road near the town's Lover's Lane.
Ooh.
It's the body of a young woman. She has 4 bullet wounds, one on either side of her neck by her collarbone, one on the left side of her face, and one directly in her abdomen.
Oh my God.
They can tell that the gun was shot at point blank range because there's like gunpowder residue on her dress, like on her clothes. And her dress was pulled up above her waist and her underwear had been ripped off. Near her body, at first they didn't know who it was, but near her body, police found a purse with the ID of a woman named Patricia Jones,
Okay.
who was a local woman in the town.
Oh, yikes.
The way the bullets had entered, it looked as though she had been kneeling when she was shot, like they were kind of facing downward. So they were like someone shot her execution style.
I was gonna say.
It wasn't like she was running or like, it was like right directly at her multiple times.
I have a question that's like
Sure.
very fucked up, but I still
Probably
also
don't have the answer, but you can guess.
Is execution style either facing them or behind them as long as they're on their knees? Because I always thought execution style was just from behind them.
I actually was wondering this because they said execution style, and I was like, I thought that was like a specific
I
shot.
thought like behind them while they're
But
kneeling.
I mean, maybe.
It's all terrible, and you are
I know,
executing them. So I suppose it's
maybe
either.
it's just like. Oh God, I wish I had looked it up. I really do.
Someone will tell us.
I know. Execution. I'll tell us.
Gosh, the police finding your computer would be the worst thing for
guys,
us.
you gotta clear my browser, Em. You gotta clear it. Kills at a close range. Okay.
Okay.
So it's
So-
like they're at your mercy, basically,
Yes.
and you murder them. Okay.
Got it.
Makes sense. I mean, doesn't make sense, but
Logistically, by definition, I understand.
I'm glad you asked because I always thought the same thing, that it was from the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
it's all bad.
Well, the more you know, guys.
Yay.
Welcome to this educational show. Okay. So they focused on thoroughly processing the crime scene, and in an attempt to find the murder weapon, this is a fun fact, they deployed a troop of Boy Scouts to search for the gun.
Really using them for real life experiences.
Yeah.
Really teaching them.
Right?
Holy shit. We're not going to learn how to like help an old lady cross the street this week. We're going to solve a fucking murder.
Nowadays, they're probably not even allowed to talk to strangers, and now it's like...
Right.
They probably just like we just like made rice cakes and shit like that in Girl Scouts.
Can you imagine though being a member of that Boy Scout troop and going to other Boy Scout troops one day and
No.
being like, do you know what my troop had to do?
Look at this badge I got for finding a gun in the woods.
Truly, like
What's
how
the
do you?
badge for that?
You first of all, you deserve a badge,
I would
if not anything else.
Hand make a badge just for that.
You deserve your Eagle Scout badge.
Correct.
Immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys skip all the levels.
Yeah, you win.
You win.
You win.
You found the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought that was wild. I was like, wow, the 60s were a different time. Okay.
Absolutely. Also, how small must that town have been where they literally needed the help
I
of
know.
10-year-old boys?
Just that they needed like a force of people.
It's all we can. It's all we've got. Let's go.
Don't send the women, send the small children.
Right.
Also, as a Girl Scout, I would have been so jealous.
Oh, yeah. I
It's
mean,
not fair.
especially if you're like one of the brownies or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, you have to literally be
You're-
at home and learn how to like macrame.
Right? You're making
And your brother
flower
gets to go
crowns.
solve crime.
Seriously, it's not fair. Like,
A real
he's
dichotomy.
literally at the scene of a murder, like a dead body. And you're
Bananas.
making fucking rice cakes. It's the only example I can think of. Anyway, so the Boy Scouts did not find the gun, so no one got their badge.
Aw.
But they did find a bullet. The police did, not the Boy Scouts.
Oh, I was like, okay.
I know. Nice try. They did find a bullet that had lodged in the ground after having shot through her abdomen. So they collected that. The other
Yikes.
ones were gone. And it was a bullet from a .22 caliber pistol. So the man who discovered the body and had originally called police was named John Boldes. And he claimed he had been driving out there and he had to pee. So he wandered into the grass and found her body. Police immediately knew something was wrong with him. They kind of described him as like not the sharpest tool at making a good story sound legitimate.
Okay, got it.
So they were like, something's going on here. It was also pitch black, middle of the night, and she was like really far into the tall grass, and they're like,
I
he
see.
wouldn't have wandered all the way out there to
Got it.
pee, and you can't see her from the side of the road. So it was fishy. So around 5 a.m., they bring in Patricia's husband, so the victim's husband, Walter.
You must be kidding
Holy
me.
shit!
I don't. It feels like
Oh my
every
God,
story
is
is
this a
fake now.
sign? Is this a sign?
I don't know. Like, we can't name our grandchildren Walter or our children Walter. We can't name anyone we know Walter.
This is bananas.
I swear to God, this is like the fifth Walter
Maybe it's
I've.
really Walter here being like, you said you never hear from me. Here I am.
He's like, I'll insert myself in every story. Don't worry.
Oh my God, that's really weird. Yeah.
I hate that.
Maybe it's a sign. I like how you said these stories sound made up and like the only name we can invent is Walter. Like,
Truly.
we're so dumb we can't even make
Also,
up fake
but to a
names.
point where if someone came up to us and was like, what was the name of this person? And if I had to make something up, I'm just going to naturally now say Walter because I just hear it all the fucking time.
Dude, odds are you'd be right, probably.
Truly, actually, wait a minute. Statistically,
Statistically speaking.
out of the 5 stories we've covered recently, I feel like there's at least
Yeah.
10,000 Walters.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Okay. So around 5 a.m., they bring Walter in, Patricia's husband. He's only 23 years old. They're a really young couple. He's an ex-Marine turned car salesman, and he is like completely shook by this news.
Sure.
He claims at first he didn't even realize she'd been missing because they had gotten into a huge fight 2 nights before, and he
Not
thought,
a good look.
no, terrible,
Not
terrible.
a good look to the police.
Really not. And he thought she was angry and like didn't come home, like stayed with a friend or family member
Right.
because they got into this huge fight and was off to cool down somewhere. So the next day when she didn't show up during the day, he was like, okay, I'm calling the police.
Sure.
With a little pressing, though, he admits the reason for their fight is that he was having an affair.
Not a good look.
Also not a good look.
Walter, man, come on.
on. He explains that 2 months earlier he had sold a Thunderbird, because he's a car salesman, to a woman who came to his dealership and had recently come into some money. And the two fell for each other and started dating in secret.
You had me at Thunderbird.
Yeah.
We could just be greased lightning together.
I mean, actually, though, hard to turn that life down.
Hard.
But he tells detectives that by this point, oh, fuck, who was that?
Is that a
It's
person?
Walter! It's Blaze.
It's Blaze.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll go get gas and then take you know who to.
Boarding.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanted to say bye or
No, it's okay.
something like 10 or 15. Okay.
Tell him I love him.
Tell him I love him.
Sorry, Blaze is bringing Gio to boarding and asked if I wanted to say goodbye, which just makes me sad.
Precious.
But I'm not going to say goodbye because I have to do this for all of you. Look at this. Look at
Yay.
me sacrificing. Just kidding. I'll see him in like 2 days. Okay. So, so they had started dating. That really frightened me. I thought Walter actually had shown up.
The door opened so quietly and so slowly. I was like, I'm hallucinating.
Right? And then
I
an
was like,
arm came
am I that
through.
tired?
Literally the hand like from the ectoplasm.
Yeah, it actually came right from Mina's underwear.
Undercarriage.
Yes.
Gross.
Undercarriage.
Yeah,
I'm going to bring that back.
Yeah, why not?
The one thing I will never bring back, and if you say this goddamn word, stop saying it. Panties. I will lose my
You
goddamn
said
mind.
it. I literally put underwear in here for that very reason.
Thank God.
And now here you are saying
That word
it.
is revolting. Okay, moving on.
Okay. So thanks for saying that out loud. Okay. So they'd started dating, but he says the relationship is completely over at this point. He says basically she had kind of gone off the deep end. He went to her place one night and she said she's in love with him and that he needed to leave his wife and kids for her and start a family with her. But when he refused to leave his family, she told him she was pregnant with his child and that he had to leave
Yikes.
his family.
Wow. Immediately pregnant with his child.
Yeah, so
Yikes.
he didn't believe her. He thought this was just like a last-ditch effort to
Sure.
get him to leave his wife. So he broke up with her. He's like, this is too much for me, and he went home. But at this point, his wife, Pat, had figured out what was up. They got into a huge fight, and the next day when he got home from work, she wasn't there, and so he assumed she was still angry at him.
Sure.
So he called the people that she carpooled with every day, and they gave him a surprising bit of information. They said Pat was at work that day when she received a call from a mysterious woman who said, "My sister is having an affair with your husband."
Oh.
This mystery woman asked Patricia to meet her after work, and she was in the carpool, and they met this car at like an intersection or something, and she's like, I have to go meet this person, and they're like, don't do that, we don't know who that is, you don't know who that is.
Right.
And she's like, no, I want to know about this affair.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if someone randomly called me at work and I didn't know them at all and they just said, meet me after work, I
Right?
have something to tell you. I'd be like, you're going to murder me.
Yeah, you meet me, how about
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
You called me.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, reluctantly, they let her out of the car, and she got into the car and drove off with the mystery woman. At this point, Walter is like, fuck, that mystery woman is my girlfriend. God damn it.
Oh, no.
So he's fucking furious. He goes over to her place that night to confront her. And at this point, I'm trying to see if I'm supposed to tell you yet what her name is.
Is her name Christine Schieffer?
Yes, surprise. Okay, no, not yet. Sorry. Just wait a minute.
Okay.
I want to tell the story in like a mysterious way.
Ooh.
Obviously, I'm ruining that with the effect of that. I'm so sorry.
I think we both started this podcast with hopes that we would have the illusion of mystere and the allure, and now we're just like,
You're just like burping.
I forgot my notes.
Saying panties. Okay. So okay, blah, 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 blah. So he's like, fuck, I know this person has to be my girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, because
Yeah.
like who else would be calling his wife? And clearly he said she'd kind of gone crazy, or not crazy, but like she had gone off the deep end with this, trying to desperately get him to leave his family. So he's like, God damn it, that was her, I bet. So he's furious. He goes over to her place that night to confront her. She admits to Walter that she did indeed tell Patricia about the affair because she, quote, felt bad for her.
Okay.
Felt sorry for her, but said Patricia didn't seem overly upset, and it probably wasn't a big deal.
Okay.
Sure, that seems likely.
That checks out.
She said Pat probably had just gone to cool off at a motel, so she's like, chill. I'm sure she's just like with a friend or at a motel to cool off. But the next day, when police call him in and say your wife was found dead, he's more sure than ever that his lovely girlfriend had something to do with it. Police ask Walter, what is your girlfriend's full name? He tells them her name is Sharon Kinney.
Okay.
And there it is. Now you got it.
Sharon Kinney. Got it. So she is the bad one, not the dead
She's
one.
the bad guy.
Got it.
Patricia's the good guy.
Yep.
And Detective Browning's blood runs cold. He fucking storms out of the room. And the other detective's like, dude, what's up? And he's like, you remember 2 months ago, he had questioned a woman named Sharon Kinney after her husband had mysteriously died in his bed. And this is a small ass town.
Oh, no.
He's like, we just investigated her husband's death. And it's the same fucking lady.
And she just came into money to
Yeah.
buy that Thunderbird.
Exactly. Interesting, huh? So Sharon is only 20 years old. Beautiful, known in town as like a beauty. She had called, this is what happened to her husband. So it's 2 months earlier. She called police. She found her husband dead. She told police she was in the bathroom getting ready for supper at church when she heard her 2-year-old daughter, Catherine, walk up to her husband as he was napping on the bed. She said she heard Catherine ask, "Daddy, how does this thing work?" And then a gunshot fired. Dun, dun, dun. And they came, and James Kinney, her husband, had been shot in the back of the head while sleeping in his bed. Blood everywhere. Horrendous.
And they were able
mess.
to confirm that? Like, there wasn't gun residue on her child or anything?
So that's a very specific question that I have a very specific answer to.
Okay, got it.
Shockingly.
I feel like the more I listen to you talk, the more I become an expert.
It's amazing
policeman.
how, like, usually I get really nervous because I'm like, I probably don't have the answer. Just like the execution style
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
But finally, I have an answer for you. So normally in this scenario... Oh, it's literally the next bullet. Okay.
Woohoo!
Thank you for asking, Em.
I feel on top of it.
Normally in this scenario, police would issue... They did these, like, paraffin wax tests where they would put your hand in, like, hot wax and then, like, test for gunpowder residue. But Sharon and little Catherine were so distraught they didn't want to subject them to hot wax. So neither of them got tested.
Okay, well, that was just sloppy police work right
Correct.
there.
And they regretted it from then on. The police were like, that was the dumbest thing we ever did.
Yes.
So the wildest thing, too, is like they were like, well, it's still fishy. Like, how can a 2-year-old hold this gun? So they literally gave her, this place is wild with the Boy Scouts and the little girl. They gave her a gun, and she's 2 years old. They were obviously unloaded and asked her to pick it up. And her dad apparently let her play with guns all the time. So this was like not out of the ordinary.
What? Deliverance? Okay, I'm sorry. You let the baby play.
2-year-old.
Okay.
2 years old.
Okay.
Your skull is still soft. Like, don't give her a gun.
If you can't speak full sentences
No.
100% of the time,
And that was part of the
and not have
problem.
a temper tantrum,
Seriously.
Oh my God.
That was part of the problem. They couldn't interview her because she's so little she barely spoke. And so then they gave her a gun.
what family is this?
And her, well, pretty
Okay,
fucked up.
well, got it.
So she picks up the little girl's able to pick up the gun and pull the trigger. So they were like, well, like,
But also has no concept of death or the criminal justice system.
Sure.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay.
So they can't, but at this point they're like, damn it, like we were going to hopefully disprove, like she can't even pick up a gun. It couldn't have been her, but now they're like, well, she can pick it up. So
Got it.
It's hard to disprove that theory. So he'd been shot in the back of the head. When they got there, they picked up the weapon, and it happened to be a .22 caliber pistol. What are the odds? Remember the bullet was 22. Oh, you're a lucky number.
I heard it. That's how I remembered, actually.
I should have known. So clearly they didn't do this paraffin wax thing, but it's stuck in Sergeant Browning's mind because he's like, I knew something was fishy about that lady, and now she's back in another fucking murder story within 2 months. And he also knew Sharon had gotten, in today's money, $230,000 in life insurance. So clearly, like you said, she bought herself a nice new Thunderbird.
Yep.
And a new boyfriend.
Yes, she did.
So he knew something was up. But when they tested the little girl, they were like, well, I guess we're just going to rule this an accident because we didn't do the test and the girl can pick up a gun. And there's no way to prove otherwise. So now 2 months later, which is just so fucked up to blame your daughter, whatever. So now 2 months later, after her husband is shot in the head with a .22 pistol, the wife of the man she's sleeping with also happens to be shot with the same weapon. So they go back to that first guy, the not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Oh, yeah. I remember him.
So John Boldees, he had found the body. He's clearly lying about something. So they were like, we need to figure out what is up with this dude. So they put a little pressure on him. And finally, he admits he wasn't alone when he found the body. He was with his girlfriend and she spotted the body.
Was her name Sharon?
It was.
Oh, no.
They said, who's your girlfriend? He said, her name's Sharon Kinney. And there it is.
Wow. So she, first of all, she never rests.
Has quite some gall.
And quite a lot of boyfriends.
Quite a lot. She is juggling a lot.
And she has no problem throwing all of their exes and partners into each other's lives.
Absolutely not.
Oh, my goodness.
Not even a little bit. Yeah, so basically what happened, he says, is that they were out there and they were making out because it was Lover's Lane. And she said, oh, weird, I see something. I need you to go check it. And she couldn't have seen it from the car, but she's like, I see something.
Right.
And so he went and found the body, quote unquote. And then she told him, you can't tell police. I was the last one to be with her and they're going to think I had something to do with it. Oh no. So
Gotcha.
she went home and he said, no, I was by myself.
Got it.
She tricked him into saying it was him who found the body. So
Got it.
anyway, so now they're like, God damn it, we got to bring Sharon back in here. So they finally bring her in, and she claims she's never heard of Patricia Jones. And then they bring up Walter Jones, her lover. She says, oh, that's the guy who sold me my Thunderbird. And police are like, we know you're sleeping with him. And she's finally like, yeah, okay. And they say, oh, well, he says that he broke it off because you were in love with him. And she freaks out. She's like, he's a liar. He was in love with me. And like, as if that's what matters right now.
Right. This is not the time.
This is
literally
not the time. Right. So they were like, hey, by the way, people saw Patricia getting into your car on the day of the murder. So can you explain yourself, please? And she's like, I just felt really sorry for Patricia. So I wanted to finally admit that, like, I was sleeping with her husband. And they were like, why did you say it was your sister? And she's like, I didn't want her to be mad at me.
Right.
I wanted her to be mad at her husband.
Uh-huh.
She wanted her to break up with the husband. So
sure.
Right. Tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time. Yes.
She says, we just drove around a little bit, and then I dropped her off a couple blocks before her house. When he says, Sharon, you were the last one seen with her, and you found the body, that's one hell of a fucking coincidence. Mm-hmm. She literally goes, yeah, it is one hell of a coincidence.
This is not the time or place for that. This is not the time or place.
She is just not giving.
She is ballsy.
I know. She just like doesn't give a shit.
That's exactly right. What are you gonna do about it?
Yes. What a nice observation you've made, detective.
Yikes.
So at this point, Detective Browning is pissed. He's like, I need to pin this on her. I fucked up the first murder by not getting her tested for gunpowder. I need to pin this on her because she did it. But unfortunately, things don't go great for Detective Browning. Sharon gets a lucky break when it turns out the coroner's department screwed up the autopsy and did 0 tests on the body.
Ooh.
Before burying her. So nothing there that he could use against her.
Right.
Then they go ahead and search Sharon's house, and they find a box for a .22 caliber pistol. But the gun itself isn't there. And the gun had actually been purchased 2 weeks before Patricia's murder.
Okay.
And she explains, I forgot to tell you about it. That's how she explained why she never brought it up.
She just forgot.
And they're like, well, where is it? And she says, I lost it on vacation.
What? Okay.
I mean, to be fair, they're letting their 2-year-old play with guns.
Yeah.
I mean, at this rate, that's not
apparently
totally...
they're gun crazy. There's I'll just bring it on vacation. Oh, shucks, I forgot it.
I forgot in Bermuda again. Oh
Classic me.
It was actually Catherine, the 2-year-old, left it by the pool, by the kiddie pool.
She's so silly like that.
She's so silly with her gun. So, she says, I lost it a few weeks ago. They interrogated her for 13 hours, and she admitted nothing. Like, they just couldn't break her.
Steel trap.
Honestly. And she was so abrasive and smug that police took a bold step, bold perhaps not the smartest, and despite not having any direct evidence, they risk it and decide to arrest her that day.
Huh.
So at this point, the story blows up. She's obviously front page news all over town. Independence, Missouri is not a huge place. Mm-hmm. It turns out she actually was pregnant.
Oh.
And she claimed it belonged to her husband. Uh-huh. However, the child was born 10 months after her husband had been shot in the head. So
riddle me that.
So riddle me that. Nevertheless, she absolutely adored being the center of attention, which is not shocking at all to me.
Nope.
She dressed and acted like a movie star. Like she felt like she had adoring fans because all the reporters wanted to talk to her.
Yikes.
Like just took it as like, I'm famous now.
Okay.
And people who knew her actually said like growing up and in high school, she just like dreamed of being a movie star. And basically her whole goal in life was for a man to like whisk her away to Hollywood or to like a bigger city. No. And she was like stuck in Independence, Missouri. And so this is finally, she's like, I have
her moment.
Yeah, my
Yikes.
limelight, basically. So they have 2 murders. They're like, okay, we got to pin one of these on her.
Yeah.
So they start with Patricia's murder. Now this is wild. This lady is the luckiest person in the entire universe.
Except that she's dead.
Well, who's dead?
Patricia?
Oh, not Patricia's the least lucky person. I'm saying Sharon.
You said Patricia, and then you were like, "This person's the luckiest person." I was like,
she's murdered. How great!
Look, I could debate that if I wanted to.
For God's sake, no. Sorry, they started with Patricia's murder. Sorry, Sharon is the luckiest lady on the planet.
I hear you.
Crazy enough, the prosecution was able to find the man who owned the gun before Patricia bought it.
Wow.
And they're like, do you have any bullets left? Because we can match those bullets to the one we found that had gone through Patricia's stomach. And he's like, I don't have any here, but I had shot my gun into a tree stump near the airport. So they're like, okay, we're going to go get that bullet. So they literally go find this tree stump. And
They
there's
literally found a tree stump.
yeah, well, there's
Amazing.
7 bullets in it. So apparently it was used, I guess.
Got it.
Of target practice? I don't know.
Okay.
But it had multiple bullets in it. So they chainsaw it. But they chainsawed the bullet. And so it was not admissible in court as evidence. It was the same bullet, but
That
it was,
really is the luckiest
I
thing to happen to
know!
her.
Just chainsawed it right in half.
Oh my
So
God.
they were like, well, fuck. It is the same bullet, but we can't use it in court. So that really blows. Oopsies. So Sharon had gotten another lucky break, and the jury did not find enough evidence to be like, she for sure did it. So they found her not guilty. One juror even asked her
Sorry, you said she for sure, and I was like, she for
for... She for sure. Oh, I didn't even hear it. She for Schultz.
She for sure.
Almost.
Sorry, that's why I went,
No.
haha, instead of, oh.
No, well, because I'm about to say something funny, so I was like, how did you know?
I'm actually a psychic. My name's Mina Crandon.
Fuck. No wonder you're always like spewing guts everywhere.
That's exactly it, yeah.
Damn. Say hi to Walter for me.
Which one?
That's true. So Sharon was not guilty, and one juror even asked for her autograph after the verdict was read.
Yikes.
I know. So she really is living it up at this point. Detective Browning does not want to give up, though. He is like, okay, fine. We messed up on this one. How about the murder of her husband? We'll get her on that one. So he talks to John Boldies, the guy, her boyfriend, the guy who found the body.
Uh-huh.
And he admits that Sharon had actually asked him to kill her husband for $1,000.
Oh.
But then on the stand, prosecution asks him the question, and he says, no, she was just joking.
She's just fibbing.
Yeah.
She's joshing.
Isn't she? She's just joshing around.
She's just joshing. If you don't know that, you don't even know her.
You clearly
She's crazy like that.
You don't know Sharon at all. She's just a hoot.
She's being a silly goose.
Such
you know.
Such a silly goose.
Such silly goose.
Sharon the silly goose.
That's what they say.
So just joking around, just joshing. So yeah, $1,000 to kill him, but then on the stand, unfortunately, he flip flopped and said, nope, she was joking. So the prosecution was pissed. So instead, Sergeant Browning convinces John to drive Sharon around in his car. This is the wildest shit. So Sergeant Browning's so desperate. It sounds like Houdini. He's literally at this point so desperate that he's like fucking up because he's
Just the
trying,
hellbent episode.
Yes, he's trying so hard. He's in her trunk. He hides in her trunk with a recorder and asks John to drive her around and convince her to admit to the murder. And he's just in the back recording it. It's
What?
They did a reenactment in one of the episodes.
I bet it looks stupid.
It's hysterical because he's just hitting his head. And they're clearly they make him out to be kind of a bumbling buffoon because he's just trying everything and nothing's going his way. And then he's just in the trunk for hours, and they're in the front talking about what's your favorite type of ice cream?
Oh my God.
It's just the saddest thing.
He's just flying around.
He's like, please. So so it doesn't work every time. He tries to bring up the $1,000 hey, did you actually mean that when you said you'd give me $1,000?
Right.
Or were you joshing?
Were you just being a silly goose?
You never know with Sharon. Every time the topic goes near, she literally just changes the subject to something completely random, like ice cream, or it sounds like our fucking podcast. Hold on.
Or ghosts? Or
trying to talk about
anything.
murder, but instead we talk about everything else.
Yeah.
So she is not that stupid, and she probably can tell John is up to something because he's also not good at lying. And so she admits absolutely nothing. But the case does go to trial, and ultimately Sharon actually is found guilty of the murder of her husband.
Oh, wow.
She is sentenced to life in prison. But
Life.
because she's the luckiest person in the fucking world, the appeals court overturns it after only 18 months, and she's out of there. Yay.
You must be kidding me. Are you being a silly goose? Wait a minute.
Surprise, I'm silly. Oh, man. That's what they call me. That's my superlative. No, silliest.
The silliest goose.
The silliest
Christine,
goose
she for sure.
in all the land. Sounds like a nursery rhyme.
Yes.
Sort
It
of.
sounds like a really ass backwards nursery rhyme.
Well, it's German, so yeah.
Oh, yeah. You actually also have like scissors in for eyes and shit. So
And there's pig guts coming out of me. Yeah,
the silly
actually.
goose with pig guts and scissor eyes.
There's like a needle in my mouth and I'm pulling some hands.
Listen,
it's really confusing.
it sounds right.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, cautionary tale. Read it to your children.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Throw it away. Burn it in a fire.
Just launch it into outer space. Okay. So the next trial, so they were like, okay, we're going to do this trial over again because it was appealed. The next trial lasted for years, ended in a mistrial. Then the third trial ended in a hung jury. Then, so she literally is getting trial after trial, and the first one she's convicted, but gets out of jail, and then the next two are mistrials. So she just is like not getting freaking caught for this. So on the morning of September 21st, 1964, Sergeant Browning is just in his office. He opens the newspaper and he sees the headline, Sharon Kinney arrested for murder in Mexico. And he's like, wait, what? And this is like they described it like as his white whale, kind of like
What?
what's her name? Sorry.
Mina?
Mina.
I thought you were going to say something about whale sounds.
God, they were waiting for it.
Mina.
There it is.
is.
Oh my God. That one you're not allowed to DM me about. Okay. It was like his white whale. Like he could not this is a case where he's like, I need to pin this on her. She's so smug and like she's just like Houdini.
She's slithering out every time.
Exactly. So it turns out so he's like thrilled because he's like, holy shit, someone got her for something. So it turns out she had gone down to Mexico with a boyfriend. She met an American tourist down there and who's a Mexican national. She took him back to her hotel room and shot him. She told police he was trying to rape her and she was defending herself. But he had been shot square in the back from like a distance, like across the room. So they were like...
So he wasn't on you or near you.
Yeah. So regardless...
So she really... It sounds like she just has no rhyme or reason to why she's murdering men. She just feels like it.
Yeah. Well, all his money was in her bag. So clearly she was just trying to rob him. But that's kind of an extreme move.
Yeah. Run. Like grab the bag and run.
Right. There are easier ways to rob someone, I would think.
Right. Also, don't rob someone when you're in the middle of many trials or just got cleared.
Right. Moving to a new country doesn't change.
It's like she wants to get caught so bad.
I know. I think she just thinks she's invincible, which she kind of is at this point.
Yeah. I mean,
guess.
she's not wrong for thinking that.
Yeah. So it didn't make a lot of sense to police that like she was self-defense. It was self-defense because he was shot square in the back, like I said. It also doesn't help that a hotel employee who heard the gunshot came in and she shot him too, for no apparent reason.
She was just like, "Oh, you'll do too,"
and
Boom.
he survived, thankfully. But like,
wow.
But like, he's like, she just fucking shot me. Like, I was like, is everything okay? And she shot me in the arm. So
now that makes me feel bad for anyone who's in customer service. Like, how are we doing here?
Honest to
Bam.
God.
Like,
can you imagine reading that 1-star review on my show? Like,
truly.
Oh well, someone shot me right in the.
It didn't feel good and it fucking sucked.
It felt bad. I had to.
I just asked a nice question.
I even had to finish my shift, just bleeding out.
It's awful.
Okay, so she's like, I was just here on vacation, but when they looked in her bag, they found 300 rounds of ammunition, a fake ID, and several guns, including a .22 caliber pistol. So clearly, she was trying to book it and run away.
Book it with the right equipment too,
yes.
But also not with the right
and
brain.
The wrong moves, right?
Yeah, for her to be like, oh, here's all of my ammunition and money. Also, I'm gonna kill 2 more people on my way out of being sneaky.
Like nobody even knew she was there. She literally could have just done it.
Literally could have just even locked the door behind her and stayed there by herself and continued on with her life.
He wouldn't have known she's down there. So Mexican authorities fired the gun several times to send so that they finally had like samples to match. So they fired her gun, matched the bullets to the one that was in Patricia's abdomen, and they were an exact match. So this literally proves that her gun killed Patricia.
Wow. All that, though, for one piece of proof.
For one little bullet. So based on the physical... When that was in the mail, can you imagine? He's like, oh, God, you got to ensure that you got to hand deliver that shit to me.
Hand delivered.
Oh, my God. So based on the physical evidence, Sharon had driven, so they're like building this story now. Sharon had driven Patricia out to the lover's lane with the guise of being like, my sister slept with your husband. I want to tell you about it. Walked her into the grass, somehow probably with a gun, got her down on her knees, possibly told her she was pregnant. She was pregnant, so nobody knows if she told her that or not.
Right.
My guess is she's pretty cruel, so perhaps. And then pulled the trigger not only once, not twice, but 4 times. And as she's laying down on the ground, the final shot was directly into her abdomen, as she's already on the ground. Then she stages the crime scene as a sexual assault, which is why she pulled her skirt up and threw her underwear. And then she apparently went to a birthday party. Talk about a sociopath. I mean,
Can you imagine? Now I'm wondering everyone who's come to my birthday parties. I'm like, where were
Yeah.
you a second ago?
we should start like having people
What were you doing an hour ago?
sign a waiver or something.
Most of my friends be like eating tacos. What do you
like
want?
FaceTiming you. So, but Jubble Departy. God damn.
Jubble Departy, as I always say,
Jesus Christ.
and will continue to do so.
And now I can't escape it. Oops. Double jeopardy. She can't be retried for Patricia's murder because she's already been acquitted for it.
Right,
Because
right.
they jumped the gun literally too early.
Really is the luckiest woman in the world.
I know. So she's tried in Mexico for the murder of the man in the hotel room, and she is convicted. She gets 13 years at a prison in Mexico, where she quickly develops a nickname, La Pistolera, or the woman gunslinger.
Wow.
That was Karen Kilgariff said that on the show, and I was like, yeah, woman gunslinger.
Yeah.
So
Cool name for a shitty person.
yeah, right. Why does she get a? What's my nickname?
I don't know.
Probably something.
Lemon's best friend.
I'll
The
take it.
saddest woman alive.
Just as badass.
Featuring Skylar.
Somebody tweeted like, "Oh, I have a spider in my house too. What should I name it?" And I just said M Junior.
Oh, I did see that. I saw that on the way here. I was like, you got some goddamn nerve, Christine.
I know. I didn't tag you in it for a reason.
I saw that, yeah.
I was hoping you'd find it.
It felt good.
Good. But of course, the story does not end there. So it had been 5 years since the murder. She's finally in jail in Mexico. 4 years later, Detective Browning is at his office back in Missouri when he hears some breaking news on the radio. Sharon Kinney has escaped from prison.
Damn it.
On December 7th, 1969, so that now it's 9 years since the murder, Sharon Kinney's had not shown up for daily roll call in prison, and by the next morning, it was clear she had escaped. There had been a movie night for prisoners and the families the night before, and during a blackout that night, it's believed she had escaped during the blackout, but they didn't know if she'd either bribed the guards or perhaps convinced her boyfriend. She had a boyfriend to help aid in her escape, so somebody must have helped her, whether it was she had conned somebody or talked somebody into helping her escape. One theory, actually, which is pretty wild, and I don't know if this has any weight, but one theory claims that the family of the man she killed in the hotel room broke her out of prison for the pleasure of killing her themselves.
What?
But that was only
juicy.
I know. I was like, that's dramatic, but that was only in one source, so nothing else confirmed that.
Got it.
To be clear, but the number of things that went right for her just by chance is bananas. So I'll list them here in case we forgot. The botched autopsy, the bullet getting sawed in half by a chainsaw, which would have just that
would have helped.
Exactly, would have gotten her in jail because they confirmed it was her gun. Not performing the wax test on her and her daughter because she convinced them her daughter's too fragile. Her daughter being able to pick up the gun, she probably didn't even know whether the girl could do it.
Right.
The appeal going through on her first conviction and then escaping. So she's just had quite a time getting out of 3 murders. Despite extensive manhunts after her escape, her whereabouts remain unknown to this day, but she is believed to be alive.
Wow. And potentially killing people.
Yeah, who knows?
It sounds like she really was just doing it for fun.
I mean, no, not a year, but a couple years. Yeah, just murdered 3 people.
I can't imagine she just stopped.
Two in 2 months. And also the one with the husband, I never... the one with the wife, there was the motive of, I want to be with your husband. But, the husband, she just shot him in the head?
She just shot him. And also, she, was in Mexico and just, shot the waiter.
Right.
She's clearly doing it very haphazardly. So she can't possibly have just stopped. She's clearly, she has a compulsion, it seems.
Yeah, exactly. She got a taste for it, clearly enjoyed it.
Yeah, can't stop.
So that's great news for the world.
Great.
According to the lineup, Kinney's warrant for the murder of her husband James, issued in 1964, is still active to this day, making it the longest outstanding arrest warrant in the Kansas area's history
Wow.
and one of the longest outstanding felony warrants in U.S. history.
Wow.
Bonanza. That's not the right word.
Bananas.
Bananas.
It's a bananas
I
bonanza.
think I'm trying to come up with new words because we say bananas so often, but that's okay.
Lemons. It's fucking lemons.
We say lemon a lot too. Detective Browning, this is sad, retired from the police force in 1969, the same year Sharon Kinney escaped from prison. He just gave up.
Yeah.
She really just did him in. It's really sad.
Yikes.
Although she's never been found, most people firmly believe she's still alive and will probably never be caught at this rate. Nobody's
Right.
like really looking for her anymore. Karen Kilgariff actually ended the A Crime to Remember episode with a quote that I loved, so I'm going to end the story on that same quote. She says, "I think everybody would want the luck of Sharon Kinney, but most of us have the luck of Detective Browning.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how right you are. Life is stupid, and some people get away with murder." And that's the end of the
Wow.
story of Sharon Kinney.
That's bananas
I know.
and lemons and fruit in general.
Bonanza.
It's bananas bonanza.
So that's that.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I loved it.
Thank you, Sling, for letting me watch so much more TV now, because that's clearly what I...
If you want to join Christine on her sling adventure, her sling quest,
Yeah.
then go join Sling.
It's fun. Yeah, so that's that, I guess.
Great.
Come see us live.
Come see us live.
We're doing something completely different from this.
completely. Yeah, we won't bum you the fuck out.
Yeah,
if
that's
anything,
right.
we'll hype you up and you're going to leave. It's going to be great.
There's still alcohol, so don't worry.
Oh, yeah.
That stays the same.
Yes, the drinking is still there. We are cold and that's why we drink. And that's it. So, and
That's
why
we
drink.